Hey friends, today we're diving into one of the most confusing parts of any relationship, finding that perfect balance between giving each other space and staying connected. You know that feeling when you're not sure if you're giving too much space or not enough. When you're wondering if wanting more me time makes you a bad partner. We're going to crack this code together, and I promise you'll walk away with clear, actionable answers. Let's start with what I call the space paradox, something I bet you've experienced, but maybe couldn't quite put your finger on. Think about a plant in a greenhouse. When you crowd it too much, it can't breathe. That's exactly what happens in relationships when we don't give each other enough space. We suffocate the connection. But here's the flip side. Leave that plant out in the cold with no protection, and it withers. Just like when we become too distant in our relationships, the connection starts to fade. The magic happens in the middle. Just like a plant needs the right balance of protection and exposure to grow strong, relationships thrive when we find that sweet spot between togetherness and independence. This is where both partners can flourish without losing their connection. Let's break down the warning signs that'll help you spot if your relationship's balance is off. On one side, we have the signs of too much independence, and on the other, the red flags of too little space. Understanding these can be a game changer for your relationship. First up, living parallel lives. This is when you're technically together, but your lives barely intersect. You might be under the same roof, but emotionally you're in different zip codes. Next, you might notice the emotional intimacy fading. Those deep conversations you used to have, they're becoming rare, replaced by surface-level chat about groceries and schedules. Here's a big one, feeling like roommates instead of partners. You're efficiently managing a household together, but the romance and connection, that's gathering dust. And finally, when your social circles become completely separate with no overlap, it's often a sign you've drifted too far apart. Some separation is healthy, but complete segregation, that's a red flag. On the flip side, constant checking in is a major sign of insufficient space. If you can't grab coffee without a full report, something's off. Watch out for the disappearing hobbies. Remember that painting class you loved? If it's been replaced by solely couple activities, you might need to reclaim some independence. When was the last time you had a real heart-to-heart with your best friend? If your other relationships are withering, that's a clear sign you need more space. And the classic sign, feeling smothered. That creeping sensation of claustrophobia in your relationship isn't something to ignore. It's your inner self crying out for breathing room. Now that we understand what to watch out for, let's explore the 4 fundamental pillars that create healthy independence in any relationship. Think of these as your building blocks for a balanced partnership. The first pillar is what I call personal growth space. This is your foundation for individual development. Your personal goals don't disappear when you're in a relationship. They should thrive. Whether it's career ambitions or learning to play the guitar, these individual pursuits add depth to who you are. Having separate hobbies isn't just okay, it's essential. When you bring your unique experiences back to the relationship, you have more to share and discuss. Self-improvement shouldn't stop just because you're part of a couple. In fact, working on yourself makes you a better partner. The second pillar is social independence, and it's about maintaining healthy connections outside your relationship. Those friendships you had before your relationship, they still need nurturing. Your friends are part of who you are, not just who you were. Supporting your partner's social life means sometimes staying home while they go out with friends and being genuinely happy about it. The sweet spot is having both separate and shared social circles. Think of it as a Venn diagram where some friends are yours, some are theirs, and some you share. Pillar 3 is emotional autonomy, the ability to manage your own emotional world while still being connected. Being able to regulate your own emotions is crucial. Your partner can support you, but they shouldn't be your only emotional outlet. When facing challenges, try solving them independently first. It builds confidence and prevents overdependence. Learning to self-soothe and manage stress on your own is like having an emotional emergency kit. It's essential for healthy independence. The fourth pillar is physical boundaries, which creates the tangible space needed for independence to flourish. Everyone needs their own physical space sometimes, whether it's a room, a corner, or just an hour alone in the house. Taking time alone shouldn't come with a side of guilt. It's as natural as breathing and just as necessary. Finding the right balance in physical presence means being comfortable, both together and apart. Some days you're inseparable, others you're doing your own thing, and that's perfect. Before we dive deeper, let's bust some myths that might be holding you back from finding your perfect balance. Here's a big one I hear all the time: people thinking that if they need space, they must be falling out of love. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, healthy space often makes the heart grow fonder. Think about it like recharging your phone. You need to plug it in separately to have the energy to connect later. Another myth that needs busting: independence doesn't mean creating distance. It's actually like having a strong root system. The deeper your individual roots grow, the stronger your connection becomes. You're not pulling apart, you're creating a more stable foundation. Here's one that trips up so many couples, believing that quality time means being joined at the hip 24/7. But here's the truth: meaningful connection often comes from bringing your individual experiences together. It's like cooking. You need separate ingredients to create an amazing dish, not just one big blob. And finally, this misconception is particularly damaging: the fear that separate activities will lead to growing apart. In reality, it's quite the opposite. When you both pursue your individual passions, you bring new energy, stories, and perspectives to your relationship. It's like two explorers meeting up to share their discoveries, much more exciting than walking the exact same path all the time. Now let's talk about the practical framework you can use to build healthy independence in your relationship. I call this the CSSC method: connect, set, schedule, and check. First up is connect and release. This is about intentionally creating moments of deep connection, followed by comfortable separation. Think of it like breathing. You need both the inhale of togetherness and the exhale of independence. Maybe it's having an intimate dinner together, then happily heading off to your separate activities the next day. Next, setting clear expectations is crucial. This means having open conversations about your needs for space and together time. Don't make your partner guess. Be specific about what independence looks like for you. For example, "I'd love to have Wednesday evenings for my art class" is much clearer than "I need some space." The third step is to schedule independence. Yes, actually put it in your calendar. This might sound unromantic, but it's like scheduling a date night. It shows you value this aspect of your relationship. Block out time for individual activities, separate social events, or just pure alone time. Finally, check and adjust regularly. Your needs for space and togetherness will change over time, and that's perfectly normal. Maybe monthly check-ins where you both discuss what's working and what needs tweaking. Think of it like adjusting the temperature. Small changes can make a big difference in comfort. Let's get practical and create your personalized independence blueprint, your roadmap to finding that sweet spot of connection and personal space. First, let's do what I call a space audit. Take a week to notice when you feel energized versus drained in your relationship. Maybe you realize you're craving more alone time in the mornings, or you miss having uninterrupted work hours. This awareness is like taking measurements before building a house. It's essential for creating the right structure. Next, sketch out your ideal week. This isn't about being rigid. Think of it more like creating a flexible framework. Maybe Mondays are for individual pursuits, Wednesdays for friend time, and weekends for quality couple time. It's like designing different rooms in a house. Each space has its purpose, but they all work together. Here's where many people stumble: communicating boundaries with love. Instead of saying, "I need to get away from you," try, "I want to recharge so I can be more present when we're together." It's like installing a door. It's not about keeping people out, but about managing the flow of energy. Finally, build your support systems outside the relationship. This means nurturing friendships, maintaining hobbies, and having your own emotional outlets. Think of it as creating multiple pillars to support your life, rather than relying on just one. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this fundamental truth about relationships. The key to lasting love is nurturing individual growth while growing together. I'm emphasizing nurturing individual growth because this is where the magic happens. When both partners feel free to evolve and develop as individuals, it creates a dynamic, exciting relationship where you're constantly discovering new things about each other. It's like two trees growing side by side. They need their own space to reach toward the sun, but their roots can intertwine below, making them stronger together. This balance of individual growth and shared development is what keeps relationships fresh, exciting, and deeply fulfilling over the long term. Let's turn everything we've learned into concrete actions you can take starting today. These aren't just theoretical ideas. They're practical steps that will help you create that perfect balance of togetherness and independence. First action step: set up a weekly independence check-in with your partner. Think of it as a quick 15-minute temperature check every Sunday evening. How are you both feeling about the balance? What adjustments might help next week? Make it casual, maybe over coffee or during a walk. This isn't about criticism, it's about continuous fine-tuning of your relationship's rhythm. Next, establish your personal me-time ritual. This is something that's just for you. Maybe it's a morning meditation, an evening run, or a Saturday afternoon reading session. The key is to make it consistent and protected. Share your ritual with your partner so they can support and respect this time. It's like having your own personal recharging station. Here's a crucial step: write down your non-negotiables. These are the core activities or spaces that you need to feel like yourself. Maybe it's your weekly game night with friends, your yoga class, or your quiet morning routine. Be specific and communicate these clearly with your partner. Think of these as the foundation stones of your independence. They're not up for compromise. Finally, practice healthy separation. Start small if this feels challenging. Maybe spend an evening in different rooms doing separate activities, then gradually build up to longer periods. The goal is to feel comfortable and secure both together and apart. It's like building a muscle. It gets stronger with consistent, gradual exercise. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure you leave with clear next steps to start creating your perfect balance of independence and connection. Here's what I want you to do right after watching this video. Choose just one of the action steps we discussed and commit to it for the next week. Maybe it's setting up that first independence check-in or starting your me-time ritual. Remember, small steps lead to big changes. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's your biggest takeaway from today's video? What step are you going to take first? Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and hit that subscribe button for more relationship insights. And hey, if you know someone who could benefit from finding better balance in their relationship, share this video with them. Sometimes the best gift we can give others is the tool to build stronger, healthier relationships. Until next time, keep growing individually and keep growing together.